Hi, welcome to my channel, Ianthe Creations. I'm Claire and today we'll be making the Clara Companion Wristlet by RlR Creations. Now this is a great little pouch wristlet. You've got an ID pocket here and you've got a strap with a wristlet and a key undo, and then inside you have a slip pocket, card slots to put your cards in, and then you've got an internal zipper pocket to keep your coins or whatever in. Mobile fits nicely in there. Can't show you because I'm using it to record. You know, in typical Claire style, I got a little bit carried away and I've made loads. They're a great pattern to do, and they're a great pattern if you bulk make them as well. I discovered I don't like doing that. Loved cutting them all out, hated sewing step by step. I like to make one from start to finish, each to their own. But as you can see, you know, I've done lots and they all look fantastic in whatever whatever fabric you choose. So yeah, I bought this pattern the other day and now I have lots. So take your time, it's not a difficult pattern. One thing I will say, and it's what I discovered having done it, is when you choose your fabric for this card pocket, you don't want anything too thick, because this is thicker and it made it quite bulky here. So you want to make sure you've got a thinner fabric for your card pocket slots, especially if your machine doesn't like lots of layers, because it gets quite thick along this bit here. It's a fantastic project and it doesn't take too long to sew up. I've used G700 interfacing. Some I did with fleece, some I did with Thermaline, and I also used, I think it's H250 for the thicker, heavier interfacing. But if you'd like to give this a go, then please keep watching. I'll pop a link to where you can buy the video from. I make all the videos. I don't get anything for doing them. I do it because I love helping you guys make bags. Yeah. If you like the video, please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Right, so with the Clara, this is the front A piece. It's very important that you cut them out. So this is the side you're going to need. It's very important that you cut one out that way and you flip it over and you cut one out that way, and that you also do the same on both sides. Now I've already cut out and added the interfacing, and because my external fabric is white and my interfacing is white, I have just put a little tiny W for wrong side, so when I know which side's which. So it's very important that you cut out two matching sets. That's very important. If you do that, you'll be fine. Right, now we're going to do the exterior front main panel. This is the ID pocket. So we're going to need our piece B, which is, I folded in half wrong sides together. Now I do this bit just a little bit different than in the pattern, Rachel says to draw one square here and then pop this on and draw one square there. Now I find it easier for me, and it means I get a better, my squares stand more chance of matching up. I just draw on the one, and then I use whatever this is called, craft knife, and a metal ruler, because I have found when I'm using this, if I move, sometimes I can take a little slice out of my plastic rulers. Wasn't quite straight, so I'm going to place the ruler up to the line and then push down, turn. I mean, you could cut this out if you needed to cut it out. Use your seam ripper to rip through and draw a couple of lines and then come to that way. Do need to apply a bit of pressure, but my blade could be blunt and I just need to change it. That should, she says, have cut them both out. Yeah, I think I need a new blade. Yeah, so let's just neaten that corner up. Doesn't matter too much, but I don't want all the flaky bits if I can help it. Right. Now, don't do what I did. Now, I don't particularly like waste if I can help it. So I thought, oh, these are about the right size. I'll use these to make my zipper tabs. Don't do it. It makes the corners here and here just too bulky and ruins the whole purse. So don't use these. Make sure you cut your zipper tabs with out interfacing. They need to be without interfacing as per the instructions. But we all like to go off piece sometimes, don't we? Right, so now we need to take our ruler. I'm going to have to open it up now. I do apologise about the state of my desk. I'm going to have to re-vinyl it. I just haven't got round to it yet. I've sort of been in a bit of a sewing funk, so now we're going to measure the distance around that is stated in the pattern. And then we'll grab our scissors. Oh, that's the line. And then we're just going to snip up to the corners there. Snip the corners. Right, so have all the corners snipped. And then we're going to need that way if I hurt myself. Right, so now we've done that, I'm going to grab a double-sided tape, or you can use glue. This is, I think, 1/4 inch. It might be 1/8 of an inch. I have such a love-hate relationship with double-sided tape, because I love it because it's so fantastic, but being a nail biter, I don't always have great luck with peeling. So let's see how it goes. Yeah, it might be some time. Go and get a cup of coffee. Ah, there we go. And then we're going to fold that on the line and fold it down. And then we're just going to do that to all of them. Just going to work our way around. And if I've done it correctly, which fingers crossed I have, they should line up nicely when they're done. There we go. Right, so now I forgot to put, we need to fold the, need to make sure that if they're a directional print, which this one is, so when we fold it, we want the folded edge on this side. So we want to take our left hand side, run some tape down there, talk amongst yourselves. I'd love to be like, you know, oh yeah, you look, it all just peels off, but hey, we're all about reality and realism. Yeah, my sojo's disappeared a bit, so I'm trying to recapture it. I actually bought this pattern in the Black Friday, Thanksgiving. Oh, I can't remember. Being the UK, it gets a bit confusing. Pattern sale. So yeah. So now you've done that, you are going to want to fold it wrong sides together again. Sorry, fold it right sides together, and now we're going to stitch down here and across here. Right, so now we're going to need to take our smaller of the two zips. I'm using a number 5 because that's what I've got. The pattern does say number 3s, but I have made all mine with a number 5. It might make it a little bulkier inside. See how much we can struggle to get the zip on today. There we go. Or not, and just pull it off the other end. Right, let's try again. I would love a zipper jig one day, but until then, we will just keep trying. Which, of course, when I'm not on camera, I can do first time without fail. But when I'm on camera, right, let's not pull it off this time. Right, I'm just gonna or not. It's really cold and frosty here today, so whether everything's just decided it's not going to work because it's cold. I literally have 2 coats and a jumper on. Let's try 3rd time lucky. If it weren't for the fact that my thumbs hurt so much, I do use those more. Right, so I've got my A piece, which I wrote the W on for the wrong side. So we want it right sides up with this curvy bit pointing left. You want to just fold it in half, just finger press to get a line down the middle. Right, you're going to want to finger press that way, open it up, and then finger press that way. Now, using your ruler, mark down the distance in the pattern, and then what I do is I line that line up with there, and then the 2 center lines together. And then a couple of pins. Right, now we are going to draw the box. So we want to go middle, and then I do 1/2 inch Line them up. So now that doesn't want to stay up there, we'll leave it there. Now we're going to take it to the machine and we're going to top stitch here and we're going to top stitch here. I don't do the side bits, they get caught later on when we put the zip in, but it's entirely up to you whichever way you want to do it. So we're going to turn our stitch length down. I'm going to start as close to that corner as we can. Remembering to back stitch. And then as close to that corner as you can get. If you need to change your stitch length to smaller, do so. Just helps make a neater box. Taking your seam ripper, start a little hole. If you're not confident doing this straight off, you can draw a line in the middle and then do those, which is then what you'll cut along. You want to get as close into the corner as you can without snipping your stitches. And now what you're going to do, you're going to pull it through. This must be one of Rachel's older patterns, but she does her pockets differently now. But that's the great thing, we all learn new techniques, always learning, and you know, people have the way that they enjoy doing. You take that to the iron and iron it, and then taking our zip, we're gonna place it on. Now again, if you're not too sure, you can stick a bit of tape to just hold the zip in place. But one thing that if you into bag making, and especially if you're new to bag making, pouch making, wallet making, zips become your friend. You might be really scared of them to start with, but zips become just part of the norm, because you know you can't really make a bag without putting one in unless you're doing a tote, and then quite often even they have a internal pocket that you can turn the bag through the pocket, save you leaving a hole in the lining. See, I said there we go. Right, then you can just place your zip on. Again, I've done a bigger zip than the pattern calls for, because I don't have threes. I'm going to take this to the machine and we're going to top stitch all the way along. Move that a little bit more without pulling it off. No. Close to the edge as we can get. Try and make it as straight as we can make it. And this is where now sewing down here stops the little triangles poking out. And as I'm getting to there, remembering to stop, lift my foot up and push my zip back through. Otherwise I'll have a zipper pouch that won't be able to be opened. Zipper pocket. And as we turn the bag through the zipper pocket, it will help to be able to open it. Right. So now what we're going to do is cut off the excess. And refreeze them, reburn them, just so they don't fray. Now we're going to fold up. I'm going to fold the down so they meet as much as they can, and then literally just going to fold up the bottom edge, and then I just literally make the top edge, the underneath edge, sorry, do that backing shot. So I'm going to fold the top and then I'm going to fold the bottom back as well. Just makes a nice turn, makes a nice finish when you sew the pocket up as the very last step. So now I take it back to the machine and stitch down these sides, leaving this open, making sure we move the back or front out of the way. So that's now our zipper pocket done, and just as a good check, stick your hand through and check it comes out the other end, because if it doesn't, you need to unpick that. So we'll put that to the side and we'll do the next bit. Right, so now we're going to do our pocket piece D. Now I've cut mine slightly longer, but that I'll show you. I'm going to cut off the excess soon, so I just cut it the width of the fabric and then I'll cut the excess off. Now what I've done, because I did 13 of them in one go for some crazy reason, but what I've done is I've taken the measurements and I've cut pieces of card for them. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you how I did it using these to put the folds in. If not, all the measurements are in the pattern and tell you where to go, but I just found this a bit quicker, rather than marking it, then folding it wrong sides together, ironing it and then taking it to the machine. So taking my piece A, I'm going to line, make sure I've got this in picture for you. I'm going to line up the two edges, and then I'm going to take my piece of fabric. I'm just going to put a line in. Right, so that's my first line. Now I'm going to take piece B, which is just the one, so I'm going to line this edge up with that fold edge, and I'm going to bring that over, making sure that my tail bit lines up so we're not going off wonky. Right. So that's just one of that measurement. Now I'm going to go to piece number C, which we need 6 of. So I'm going to place that there, fold it over, making sure they line up, press, again, frame, sorry. So we need 6 of these, so we've got 2 so far, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we've got our D piece, which is just the one. Fold that over, and then with my scissors, just going to cut that bit off. And then with our ruler, right, I found it, oh, there goes my clips. I found it easier to work from top to bottom, so pop your in there. I'm going to bring up, fold it, and of course, you know, it'll all go pear-shaped because I'm on camera. Put that to that one, and then bring that one up to there. And then this fold together. To there. next one up to there. That's not actually a fold, that is just where I haven't managed to get all the creases out of my fabric. Again, this is just how I found it worked quicker and easier for me. And then again on that fold. And hey, with bag making, it's all about taking a designer's fantastic pattern and just making it work for us. We have different ways of doing things, and that's the fantastic part. Right, so that's all done like that. It's all nice and neat, pretty much straight, she says. Grab the iron. Flip that over, and what we're going to do is grab our interfacing. So we take our card pocket interfacing and we're going to pop it just on here. And we're not going over this line. So I've probably messed up my measurements a little somewhere, because I've got a bit left over, but it's not too critical in this pattern if you're slightly out. So now you've got your interface pockets. This is where I should have said you could have taken it to the machine and stitched down all these lines before you pop your interfacing on, but I haven't bothered. You don't need to, because they're already staying put, so it's entirely up to you whether you want to stitch those or not. Personal preference. Right, so now we're going to need to fold back. I always fold one, then fold the other side. Just means they match then, in case you're slightly out, which I always am. So now I've got a couple of clips there. I'm going to take it to the machine and we're going to stitch down this side. Right, so now on our machine we're going to stitch down the required distance, making sure it's on construction length stitch. Now this is when snip the corners. Now this is where it's really important that you think about what fabric you're using for the card pockets. This one's not too bad, but the other white that I used was really thick, and it means that when I was going and sewing it on onto the bag, this seam is, I mean, you can see this is really quite a thick, bulky seam. So you really need to think about what fabric you are using. A thin cotton would work really well, because you can see that's quite a, oh no, hold on, no, sorry, that's quite a thick seam there. I know my machine's okay with it, but some people's machines might not be. Famous last words, hey. Right, so now we need our back pocket. So now you need your card piece, your back. Now you need your inside B piece, and you want to make sure that your bit's pointing that way. I've got my little W on the side to say it's the wrong side. So if you got your piece that's facing that way, and you want your card slot holder, we're going to put it on this way. So this will be on the side here, and your card slots will go that way. Can you see they're really quite thick? So that's definitely something to think about when you are choosing your fabric. So we're going to measure up the distance in the pattern. So we are going to place that on there, making sure that this is sealed under. Can give it a quick press if you like, that will help keep everything all in place. And then we are lining the bottom up there with the side, the measurements given. I think my long clips will hold that into place. And we're going to take that to the machine. We're going to stitch along here, and along here. So then you've got a slip pocket up there. Right, I'm using more of a construction length stitch rather than a top stitch length size, making sure everything is tucked under. As I said, this is quite thick, so go. I've stitched it on. Probably should have upped my stitch length a bit actually. So that is now, right, so that's now our, right, now we're going to do the zip. I do mine slightly different than the way it said in the pattern. I still do the same, but I do it slightly differently. So you want to make sure that you've got your zip on. How long do we reckon it's going to take to do this time? Look, not bad this time. Right, so you want to take your, I'm using zipper by the meter. Right, so I want to leave a bit this side, so I'm going to draw a line there, and then I'm going to draw a line here. Make sure I move my zip back in before I cut. This side, and then what I do, quick bar tack that side to hold those in, and then with these I'm going to literally fold over and finger press, and then in half and finger press. You can do a nice proper press, and then slip that in there like so. Again on this one, and fold it in half, and then do your bit, do the bit, whatever works for you. There we go. And then now that's your zip done. Now you're going to need your 4 pieces. So you've got your exterior with the ID wallet, you've got the interior with your card slot, and you've got the exterior with your clip, and you've got your zip. Making sure your zip's undone. So we are going to want to take our ID wallet. Those over there for now. And what we're going to do is take our zip face down on there. And in the pattern it shows you, so if you're not sure, just make sure you get your thing. And then I'm going to take the other end and line them up, and then I'm going to work my way around. I always pin here and here first, and then work what I have through the rest. Otherwise I find if I start here and then pin all the way around, I can have some left here, or I haven't got enough. Oh, excuse me. Right, so carry on pinning round. And don't be afraid of curves. Lots of people are afraid of curves. Don't be. Just take your time. And you see, so what I do is I give it like a wiggle and a jiggle, and it lies flat. Right, so now I'm going to take that to the machine, and I'm just going to do a very small, because I just want to tack this to here before I add the other bit. The other thing that I use quite often are some hemostats, because I haven't got the strength between my finger and thumb. So just tacking this to here for now. Leave the zip out of the way. Back. Right, so now we want to grab our card one, and we're going to start there. Hopefully you can see this, and then pin here as well. And then pin round. And then following this line, this time taking the proper seam allowance. It's not sure you smooth out your zip. Now heading down to here, and the zip's there, so we just want to move that out the way. Then that just means you don't end up with any bumps when you're any veering off or anything. Now sometimes people say to cut the thingy. I won't cut it because it's the zipper tape and I don't want to risk it fraying, but it is just as easy to turn. So you want to turn it round and give it a good tug. And then we're going to up to the top stitch length, which is a 3 on my machine. We're just going to top stitch round. And there's your first side done. How amazing. It's so small. Right, so now we're going to turn it over and we're going to put right side of the back of the fabric to right side of zipper, line the corners up and then line the corners up on the bottom, clip, and then we are clipping along here. Hopefully this is staying in shot. There we go. Right, so now we're going to take that to the machine and we are going to stitch that with just a very small seam allowance because we want to baste it. And if we use a small seam allowance, it means that when we then put on the other side and do the full seam allowance, you don't see it. And zip there in a bit. Now I find it easier to unzip to do this next bit. And we're going to take bottom. So you want to make sure your zip's unzipped and that you did leave the bottom undone. Tuck that bottom one down a bit. There we go. Now I'm going to take it to the machine and going to top stitch it. Going to stitch it with the full seam allowance. Heading towards the zip and also the clips, so just want to make sure they're both out of the way. Now we want to turn this through. And now we're going to top stitch this side. Now this can be a little bit tricky, especially if, like me, you don't have a machine that's you can take the arm off, so you have to just give it a bit of a maneuver around. And there you have that top stitch. And now you are going to want to pull right, so now you're going to want to turn them both inside out. And what we're going to do now is this tab folds down towards the lining. It's so cold my fingers aren't working properly. Right, now line up, put in there just to keep it together. Now again here, take your two corners, pop them and give them a little couple of clips. Right, and again, now I'm going to pinch those two together and put those two bits down. And then clip. Right, so now we're going to sew this together. This is where it's really important you've left your pocket open and your zip open. And I think it helps, she says, if you've actually yes, I have. I've opened up the zip as well inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on this corner and come down, and then the lining is sewn with a slightly bigger seam allowance. So I'm going to come to here and then I'm going to come out to the bigger seam allowance. Making sure you keep the pocket out of the way. I have sewn the pocket in a few times. Right, so now I'm over here, so I'm just going to move my seam allowance out. Turn the corner. And then as I'm heading back up this way, I'm going to veer back down to the smaller seam allowance. This is quite a thick seam. Right, so now we've done that, we're going to want to remove some of the bulk from these corners, making sure you stay within your seam allowance. You want to make sure you remove the corners. Without getting too close to the edge. Right, now the moment of truth. Stick your hand in. my pokey tool. Poke the corner out. I'm just poking out the exterior first. And then I'm going to push the interior in. I'm just going to run my pokey tool along the inside and up the side. And because you took a okay, mine's got legs. Because you took a smaller lining, smaller seam inside, a larger seam inside, you'll have a smaller lining. So now you're just going to pull your pocket out, and where you did the fold, it makes a nice edge. Okay, so just stitch that closed. That in and do the corners, and there you have your finished body. You've got your slip pocket, you've got your card pockets. But you can see what I mean by that's quite thick because of the cotton I've used. I might even be inclined to use a poly cotton or something in it. Now let's do the strap. So for this, you are going to want to fold it in half. I'm just going to finger press, and then what you want to do is fold to the finger press, and it over the finger press, and then fold together. Add a couple of clips if you want. Right, so let's stitch down the sides. Oh, my bobbins run out. Hold on. Right, so I have put a new bobbin in and just re-sewing the bits that didn't sew. Now, again, I do this slightly different. Threads everywhere now. So I'm going to put these two together, turn the stick together down, and sew across. And then done is, there's no ends fraying, but you could put a bit of fray check on if you wanted. Then I slide this into the middle, bring this down, bring it over, and then I literally sew the bottom there. And then I've encased all the raw edges and you can't see them. Zip it up, add your clip, and you're finished. Well done.